So it says there on 216, negative exponents and zero exponents. Well, first of all, go back to this. Positive exponents. I'm pretty sure you know what those are, right? If I ask you what is 5 to the third power, you take this number, and by the way, please don't tell me it's 15. Might have to go hurt myself if you say 15. You would take this number, multiply it by itself that many times. Like that, right? And then what is 5 times 5 is 25 times another 5? 125. And if it happens to be in the bottom, like 2 to the fourth power, then you just leave it down there, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And what will that be? 4 and another 4 is 1 over 16. Correct? Oh, hello. Oh, hello. So today, one thing we're going to talk about is zero exponent. And if you think about it like our definition of exponents, you take this number that times itself 0 times. How do I do this number times itself 0 times? That doesn't make sense, does it? Doesn't make sense. And we also had the rule, while we're talking about it, remember this? What did you do to those exponents if you had it on top and bottom? You subtracted, right? So that would be x to the third. What would you do if I had this? Which, wait a minute, what is anything over itself? What is a over a? What is 5 over 5? What is 2 over 2? What is 10 over 10?
1.
It's 1, right? Anything over itself is 1. So what does this actually equal to? We know it's 1, but what if you subtract the exponents like you did over here? 5 take away 2 is 3. 5 take away 5 is 0. What is it if you raise it to the 0 power? What is it equal to?
1.
It's equal to 1. So anything, not just x, anything raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. So 5 to the 0 power, it's 1. It doesn't really make sense if you think about it in terms of a normal exponent. I'm going to multiply this number by itself 0 times. So it might help just to remember that anything to the 0 power is always 1. Anything to the 0 power is always 1, right? Anything to the 0 power. So if I ask you, what is x to the 0? What is 101 to the 0 power? 1. What is a to the 27th, b to the 56th, all to the 0 power? It's 1, right? And I already ran out of room. Are we okay with the 0 exponents? What about a negative exponent? That really doesn't make sense. How could I already run out of room? What about a negative exponent? 5 to the negative 3. Well, Now, here again, if you think about it in terms of a normal exponent, I got to multiply 5 by itself 3 times. I can do that. How do I multiply 5 by itself and negative 3 times? Good luck with that. Good luck with that. So we all agree, and you might remember this after I say it from Algebra 1. If you have a negative exponent, it doesn't make sense like this. So we have all agreed that a negative exponent really means bring it to the bottom and make the exponent positive. So 5 to the negative third, you bring it to the bottom and make it 1 over 5 to the third. What is that? 1 over, this is a mess here, I apologize. What if I have 3 to the negative 2? It's negative on top, so you bring it to the bottom and change the sign on the exponent. So that means it's 1 over 3 times 3, which is? Right. Does that make sense? And one other thing, what if I have it like this? What if I have 1 over 5 negative 2? If it's negative on the bottom, then what? Bring it to the top. If it's negative on the bottom, then you're going to take this and move it to the top. Oops, and change the sign. That's the whole reason you're moving it up there. Make it a positive 2 up there. And so then it just becomes 5 times 5, which is 25. So 0, anything to the 0 power is 1. If you have a negative exponent on top, move it to the bottom. If you have a negative exponent on the bottom, move it to the top and make it positive, obviously. We also have our same old rules of exponents. What happens if you have a power to a power? What do you do to that? What do you do if you have x squared raised to the 4th power? What do you do to that? It starts with an MUL. Yes, multiply that. So a power to a power, you multiply those. And if you have like bases, an x squared and an x to the 4th, what do you do with those? Add them. So that's x to the 6th. So we're going to use what we just talked about with the negative exponents, along with these 2 rules. Don't forget these. If you have a power to a power, you multiply. If you have like bases, you just add them up. What about if I have parentheses with an exponent? Do you remember that this goes with with everything inside there? Do you remember it goes with everything? So I have this negative 3 to the 2nd, and I have a 5 to the, what do you do to those exponents? Multiply them, power to a power, top right there. So 5 to the what power? Negative 2. Now, I would just work with one piece at a time. What is negative 3 to the 2nd power? That means take negative 3 times negative 3. Negative or positive? Positive 9. And then what do I do with that? It's got a negative exponent. I'm going to move it to the bottom and make it positive. Is that what you're going to do? On bottom, what is 5 squared? So does that look like our answer is just 9 over 25? Yeah. I don't think you can reduce that anymore. So how about this? Remember, if you have like bases, what do you do to the exponents? You add them up. If you have like bases, what do you do to the exponents? You add them up. What is -2 and -3? If you add a -2 and a -3, that's a -5. How do you get rid of a negative? Put it to the bottom, right? And so this is going to be 1 over what you get when you do 10 times 10, 3, 4, 5 of those. I think that's 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100,000. Does that make sense so far? Do you have questions so far? How about this one? You know, you have negative exponents, you have to get rid of those. And then you also have some x's on top and bottom. You have to get those together. So what would I do? I think that I would just do a little bit at a time. What is 3 to the 0 power?
1.
That's 1. See that x right here to the -3rd? I think I would bring that down right away and make it x to the +3rd. See this y? Do I have to do anything to that y? It's just a regular old y to the first. I think I would just leave that alone. Now go to the bottom. Do I need to do anything with this? Do I need to do anything with this? It's got a negative, bring it up, make it +1. Do I do anything with this? It's got a negative, bring it up, make it +2. So first I got rid of the zeros and changed all the exponents to positive. Now go back through and do any combining. Do you see this? A y and a y to the second. I think that's going to be y to the third. I've got a 1 and a 2, nothing to combine those with. What about the x's? I sort of ruined my 3 right there. This is x to the third, x to the first. Subtract. 1 on top, 1 on bottom. You subtract those. What do you get? 3, take away 1 is 2. And since the biggest is in the bottom, the answer goes in the bottom. So it looks like that's what I would get. And it says to write it without any 0 exponents and no negative exponents, which that's what we have, right? Down here, these are sort of similar. Let's do these first. Let's do these first. Let's do these first. I like to just get rid of all the negatives first. So here's an x to the -1, bring it down and make it +1. Here's a y to the -2, bring it down and make it +2. See that x? Like that. Now it just becomes a simplify. We've simplified those, haven't we? I have x's. 3 take away 1 is 2. Is that going to go on top or bottom? Where was the big one? On top. So I think that one's just going to be x squared and nothing else to do with the y squared. So good enough? Good enough? Anybody with questions so far? Before I keep rambling on, I'm almost done. How about this one? Well, again, I think I would first get rid of negatives, and then we can combine. See this? It's negative. Put it down. This one's negative. Goes down. That one's positive. Sorry, it's negative. I'm going to put it up there. What's y to the 0? Anything to the 0 is 1. So it looks like that's what I get. The only thing I have to simplify now are the x's. What's 2 take away 1? 1. And where was the bigger? On the bottom. So it's going to go on bottom in my answer. Nothing to simplify with that one. So my answer is just xy to the third? No. No, you're right. What goes on top?
1.
Right. Everything's gone. When everything's gone on top, you put a 1. So 1 over xy to the third. Questions yet? The last thing, remember, when we have an exponent outside parentheses, that exponent goes with everything inside. So this one, it's an exponent outside, that exponent goes with both of those. So I have 2 to the negative third on top, and on bottom I have 3 to the negative third. Now get rid of the negatives. How do you get rid of a negative? On top, move it to the bottom and make it positive. On bottom, move it to the top and make it positive. Let's do the bottom first, it's easier. What is 2 to the third? 2 times 2 times 2? It's 8. On top, 3 to the third. Don't say 9. It's 3 times 3 times 3. Right there. Right there. Are we good so far? I'm almost done. I only have one more to go. This thing, it goes with everything inside the parentheses. It goes with the 2, with the x, with the 5, with the y. So what do I have? 2 to the negative 1. How about this? X to the what? To the 2. Negative 2, negative 1, multiplied, gives you positive 2. So x squared. Now bottom, 5 to the negative 1. What about the y to the negative 3? It's 3 times negative 1, negative 3. Once you take care of that, now let's get rid of some of those exponents. See this one? It's negative. Where should I put it? Bottom. And make it a positive 1. X squared, it's positive. Don't do anything with it. Leave it alone. What about this? It's negative. Move it to the top. What about this? Move it to the top. Move it to the top and make it. And I don't think there's anything to simplify. You really don't need the 1s on those if you don't want to. I think that's as far as I could go. No 0 exponents and no negative exponents. That's it. I'm done. Finally. Do you have any questions? Are there any questions? Does anyone have a question? Nobody with questions? I'm on page 218. I'm on page 218. We're going to go WE 1 to 7 odds. And we're going to go numbers 21 through 35, the odds. So it's all odds. Right there. That's it. Sorry I talked so long today.